Hello, welcome back to another episode. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below. On this week's episode of Better Call Saul, everyone is plotting something. Even Howard Hamlin, who has remained a hapless bystander in Jimmy and Kim's plan to settle the Sandpiper lawsuit early, is now becoming involved. Director Melissa Bernstein gets to play with all of Better Call Saul's best visual calling cards, as the parallel cat and mouse games between Jimmy and Howard, and Gus and Lalo intensify. Meticulous montages detailing fine-tuned processes, time lapses, and revealing wide shots all appear as the parallel cat and mouse games between Jimmy and Howard and Gus and Lalo intensify. We're waiting for one of these feuds to blow out, but at least one did in Black and Blue. Kim is restless and awake in bed next to Jimmy, who is deep sleeping at the start of the episode. It's a nod to the season's first episode, and it demonstrates how the Lalo information is weighing on her. Kim is kept awake by a very physical terror, whereas Jimmy was left staring at the ceiling due to existential dread. When Jimmy wakes up, he notices Kim has put a chair against the door and suspects she's suffering from trauma. He expresses his gratitude for Lalo's death again. Kim's decision to keep Mike's information to herself is intriguing. Perhaps she's too near to attaining her dream of having the funds to launch her pro bono practice, for Jimmy to sound the alarm and throw them off course. Kim is the one concealing vital information this time. It's a well-staged example of role reversal.
I'll fight for you, huh?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Hamlin and Cliff Main meet with the Sandpiper victims to reassure them that they do not need to seek independent counsel and that the class action case will continue. Cliff, on the other hand, begins to notice Howard's fidgeting and performatively happy manner. When he eventually confronts Howard about the prostitute incident last week, he sees stark parallels to his own son's position. During the altercation, Howard has an insight and resolves to ask Cliff who he was meeting with when he saw Howard allegedly push a woman out of his Jaguar. All Howard needs to know is that Jimmy McGill was somehow involved in all of this when Cliff replies with Kim's name. Except this week, Jimmy has no tricks in his sleeve for Howard. He's far too preoccupied with his new venture. He's called Francesca back to act as his secretary because there's a wait outside his new office before the 9 a.m. opening. She shows they're out of respect, but without Kim and with the clientele having changed considerably since Jimmy's elder legal days, she isn't interested in returning. When Jimmy barters with Francesca and tells her he'll pay her double, she reacts by questioning if he means double what he used to pay her or double what she's now earning. Jimmy, being the huckster he is, says whatever is less until he realizes he's about to drive Francesca out the door, at which point he corrects himself by saying whatever is more. It's a classic Saul Goodman joke, one that would have seemed natural and routine during the show's run. It's a small thing, but it's one of the episode's highlights for me. Francesca tells him to meet a client named Mr. Ward at a boxing gym at the end of his workday. The customer turns out to be Howard, who has duped Jimmy into going to resolve their problems once and for all by punching it out. Jimmy laughs at the proposal at first, but right before the end, he gets that angry fire in his eyes that we've seen countless times throughout the series. He chooses to fight Howard in the ring, and the encounter is plenty of physical humor and wonderful POV camera work. It concludes with Jimmy down on his back, and neither guy believes his problems have been solved when they exit the ring. We then see Howard meeting with a man whom he instructs to follow Jimmy about and report on everything he does and says, Jimmy McGill is now being pursued by 2 different groups on a daily basis. Kim meets with her former paralegal Viola as Jimmy is receiving a black eye. It's meant to be a belated apology for leaving Schweikart and Coakley so abruptly, but Kim is actually seeking to learn more about the Sandpiper case. Kim discovers that a man named Rand Casimiro is sitting as judge, which she and Jimmy plan to take advantage of, but Viola spends the scene praising Kim and telling her how much she admires her work. Kim's face almost betrays her realization that she does not deserve to be regarded like some unselfish saint. Rhea Seehorn delivers another outstanding performance. Finally, Gus spends the episode on high alert and paranoid alert, expecting Lalo to pop out at any time. Gus isn't going to let the Salamancas get the upper hand in any manner, so he keeps it in the unfinished super lab just in case. He has no idea that Lalo is in Germany, continuing his inquiry into the super lab halfway around the world. Lalo utilizes his wit and charm to set up a meeting with Werner's widow. Tony Dalton is so good in this film that you nearly forget he's a violent sociopath. He politely inquires, but when she leaves without asking Lalo into her home for the evening, he decides to break in the next day and do some digging himself. The woman unexpectedly returns home when Lalo is searching around Warner's office. The camera work builds tension, implying that something bad would happen, yet Lalo manages to slide out a window without injuring her. After seeing something on the shelf that was featured in the episode's cold open, he decides to leave. Please excuse my ignorance of tools, but it's some form of instrument enclosed in plexiglass with a German inscription from Warner's boys. A manufacturing name of Volkers may be seen on the bottom. Lalo appears to be going after some of Warner's staff for answers next. Even more so than last week's Easter egg-filled hour, an episode with a Howard and Jimmy boxing bout and the reappearance of Lalo will always earn points, but there are subtle bits throughout Black and Blue that make it an entertaining watch for Better Call Saul diehards. Others may dismiss it as just another table-setting episode, but Kim's refusal to inform Jimmy about Lalo and her dismissal of Viola's flattering words feel like they could be pivotal moments. Kim's objective to embarrass Howard no longer feels as cruel now that Howard is aware that someone is after him. Thanks for watching, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.